I guess the first question I'm going to ask you is, how do you know Marta?
Marta and I actually met 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, and I was out with some friends on the town, and I ran into her at a local watering hole that I guess she visits, and we hit it off. We started talking about politics, about art, about design, about life, about energy, you know, different kind of people and the way that they interact and engage. And then she mentioned that, you know, she would love to have me come and speak and be involved with her collective, I guess, creative art collective, and just talk about you know, my experience as a young, I guess, aspiring artist or designer in New York City, and what that means to me, and how I feel like I fit into kind of a global conversation just about civility, essentially.
So what has your experience been like so far while being in New York?
Well, I'm born and raised in New York,
okay.
In the Bronx, my whole life, and yes, BX. And then, essentially, through education, I have been allotted the ability, or the flexibility, essentially, to travel and to see other parts of the United States, as well as parts of Europe, South America, and stuff like that. So I feel like being in New York is a very challenging but rewarding environment to grow up in and to continue to be involved in, because there's so many different platforms, so many different fields of exploration that are intermingled and kind of a hybrid of each other when it comes to New York. Even though you may work in finance, you can definitely find yourself working for a very artistic or creative directed company. And through my field of design, I've been able to step into the art world, to the fine art world, I should say, to the music world, to the acting world. I did an internship on Broadway where I designed several sets for a couple plays, which was great. I got to experience that life. And then I have some friends that have taken on being in a band, and they need me to manage them and talk about spacing and lighting and stuff like that. So I think as long as you have a very kind of cohesive grounding on who you are and your skills and what you're looking for, living in New York is a very dynamic and prosperous, not necessarily financially prosperous in that sense, not that that's not warranted or granted, but just positive. It's a positive place to live, I think, if you have the right head on your shoulders, if you have the right outlook on the energy and the way that it flows.
So I guess what is, because like now the seasons are changing, you know, it's, you know, we keep going back and forth between spring and winter, and then we're going from spring to summer. What are some of your goals for this changing season?
Well, I mean, seasonal changes do definitely inspire new growth, new aspirations, you know, a revigoration and energy, and like, you know, so obviously seasonal depression is definitely a thing, especially in the city where it's cold and it's gloomy, and you know, you don't want to have to travel anywhere because of the trains and people are grumpy. So there's definitely with the spring coming, even though there is a fluctuation in whether or not it's going to stay spring, whether or not it's going to be warm. I think for me, this warm season is about exactly that: being warm and being open and kind of shaking off the cobwebs of winter and the grace period in which I've had between graduating school and now being completely immersed in the professional realm, and how my skills are going to be adapted to that.
Cool. So I guess the last question I'm going to ask you is, what do you expect to get out of the salon today? And what do you think the salon is about?
I think the Salon is about open dialogue between people or individuals that share the same kind of collective view on the world, which is that the only way we can move forward and grow is to talk, to communicate, and to be honest and open with your heritage, and not heritage necessarily in a race standpoint, but just like a historical heritage of how the world has shaped and molded you as an individual, and what do you bring to the table, and what can you do or say that inspires or motivates or generates positive interactions with other human beings on a creative, on an emotional, you know, on a social level, essentially, is what I'm looking for, which I hope I can bring to Salon today. Yeah.
Cool.